Welcome to Flow Feldenkrais, where you learn to tap into a state change of ease and presence that improves your quality of life across the entire playing field. My name is Gabrielle Polin, and this is the do-it-yourself version of Feldenkrais as opposed to the private session version, which is where I teach you how to do awareness through movement, otherwise known as ATM. And ATM is not about learning a sequence. It's about learning how to relate to awareness as a process. And since we're live and I have no control over who shows up, I have to start at the very beginning and assume people have no experience with ATM. But that's a good thing, because each and every one of us needs a reminder on a regular basis to use these principles, to be kinder, to move more slowly, to take more rests, and to be more present to your own needs. Excuse me. So these are principles to live by, and they bear repeating because our programming, our social programming, our family programming is that we have all been exposed to something at birth that counters all of these principles. And repetition in a state of relaxed awareness, akin to the brainwave state we reach between waking and sleeping, when you're first waking up or when you're falling asleep at night, is the best way to counter the filters and the programming that is running the subconscious. Because your boundaries are a little bit lower in those moments of the day. But awareness through movement allows you to access that state at any time of day. And you may find that many of the principles that we're working with directly challenge you to clear the filters and assumptions that you make without even being conscious of it. So it's on the one hand, it's a process of bringing unconscious patterns to light. But on the other, it's a way of deconstructing them so that the concepts that bind you to living on autopilot diminish, so that you can be spontaneous and present and actually see the world as it is and not out of memory or old baggage. So the principles that I want to talk about today, for the month, the entire month, the theme of our weekly classes here in Jacksonville, Oregon, are stretching, to stretch or not to stretch. What are the alternatives? Is there a certain way to stretch or not stretch? So today I wanted to give you a little mini ATM on rolling, not stretching. So one of the things that is very distinctive about what we do here is that usually it's not demonstrated. And I do an audio recording of the entire lesson every week, which I send to my people. And you can find that by going to yourlifematters.solutions, and you can sign up for weekly updates there for free. And there you can stream the lessons that we do in the privacy of your own home. Or you can go and get archives of lessons going back to the year 2004, which are on my Patreon account. But today, what I want to bring to the fore is that the difference between stretching and awareness through movement is that rather than trying to pull the muscle to its furthest length, what we're doing is we're doing many variations, many movements, going in and out of a range of motion several times, slowly, with awareness. And what you'll find is that actually increases your range of motion in a way that allows your nervous system to feel safe and allows you to increase your resting length of your muscles without effort, because it's accessing the neural patterning based on the average number of movements you do in a day. So what do I mean by that? Rolling, not stretching. So we're going to do just a little mini version that is a taste of the lesson that we did yesterday on Saturday, which is probably about an hour, just to get you a sense of what is this all about. So if you could find a chair to sit in, which has a level seat, and ideally, from a Feldenkrais perspective, you want to be able to move in any direction at any time. And if your thighs are on the chair, then you can't really use your pelvis in a way that allows you to move forward and backwards easily. So what you want to do is sit on a level chair such that your sit bones are on the edge, and you can actually feel your thigh bone, your hamstrings free. Okay. So then the other thing for this particular lesson, we'll just do a taste test. So check this out for a moment. Bring your arms to 90 degrees of your torso and begin to roll your lightly fisted hands up and down. And notice that this can affect your back. And if you bring your attention to your chest, to your breastbone being your manubrium here, as you roll your hands down, your breastbone becomes pretty much perpendicular as you roll your lightly fisted hands up, and take your head and your eyes with you, but without overusing your neck. Be careful to really use your neck as little as possible. And just see if you can get a rhythm of rolling your fists up towards the ceiling and looking up with your eyes and looking down, and then rest your arms on your legs. Take a breath, clear the slate, regroup. So one of the most overused areas in the body is the neck. And so this is why this lesson is about activating the upper thoracic area, or the thoracic area being the ribs. And the ribs we think of as a cage, which is very unfortunate. So they need to be malleable and soft. So think of it in terms of learning to soften your ribs. Okay, so we're going to have another go around, and feel free to rest at any time in advance of when I stop. You're in charge of your own experience. So bring your arms out to the sides, lightly fisted, and again, roll them together so that your thumbs go down, you look towards the floor, your thumbs roll around the circumference of the length of your arms, and you look up towards the ceiling, but inhibiting too much effort or action in the neck. And notice how you can lead with your eyes, or conversely, you could follow with your eyes. But if you want to synchronize the movement with the eyes, then there is a certain rhythm that has to happen. So rhythm has something to do with learning. Learning is one of the ways, or rhythm is one of the ways that we learn. It's a strategy for learning, if you will. Okay, so now pause and do the opposite, such that your arms are rolling down and your eyes are going in the opposite direction. So when your arms roll down, your thumbs roll down, you look up towards the ceiling. When your thumbs go up, you look down towards the ground. And as much as you can, bring your attention to your shoulder blades and see if you can allow the movement to occur in your shoulder blades, and then let it go and rest. Now, most lessons are done lying down on the floor, which is a lot less work. I'm simply doing this sitting up so that people who aren't used to lying on the floor can get a sense of what this is about. But when we work on the floor, number one, you're outside the field of gravity, so you have less stimulus, which allows you to increase your awareness and become even more subtle in your ability to sense small differences. It also allows you to completely let go and release the postural muscles. But just for the sake of doing a taste test and a demonstration, we're doing this in sitting today. And notice if any part of you is complaining. It's possible that your deltoid muscles or your supraspinatus muscles, it's possible that those muscles are complaining a bit. So just take a moment and breathe and rest. One of the reasons that your muscles need to rest, even in sports training, they do things in reps because the muscles need time to reoxygenate. So taking a few deep breaths as you're resting is a really good way to help the muscles reoxygenate. So we're just going to do another few variations. But while you're sitting here, shift your weight a little bit forward and back and notice at what point do you feel overextended. So it's okay to do this kind of like a stick so that you're just shifting in your hips and your head and spine are pretty much aligned. But at what point do you feel like you'd have to use the muscles of your back to keep you from falling forward? Or when you go backwards, at what point do you feel like you have to use some part of your stomach to keep you from falling backwards? So you're noticing what the limitation is, the point at which you feel completely overextended, and then make it smaller. So you're making this same forward and backward movement like a stick from your hips, but you make it smaller and smaller until you feel that you are completely and totally centered over your pelvis. And this is the goal of any lesson, is to help you learn to feel what it feels like when the force of gravity is going through your skeleton in a way that stabilizes you in space instead of having your muscles do all the work, which is how most people operate because of the postural issues that they have. Okay, clear breath, recalibrate. Let your brain do the recalibration just by stilling the mind. So we've done these two variations. Bring your arms out to the side, lightly fisted. One, looking down as your thumbs go down, looking up as your thumbs go up. But by having your thumbs and your breastbone do the movement in sync. Pause, and then switch that up so you go down while looking up, and then look down while rolling your thumbs up, and then roll your arms down while looking up, and then pause and rest. So those are the two things we've done. So now we're going to do a third variation. So before we go there, I just want to point out that the way we're designed neurologically is that the nervous system organizes itself around all of the teleceptors, but we're primarily such a visual culture that vision is the most obvious one. The nervous system also organizes itself around scent and sound. So if somebody makes a noise, you immediately turn your head because your teleceptors are designed to follow the directive of your nervous system. Can't snap quite as well on that side. Ambidexterity is one of the things. Not so that we're any lesson is designed to increase your ability to be ambidextrous. Not because we want to be perfect, but because the ability to move in any of the cardinal directions at any time is the goal. It's the ability to be ready for anything. So it's a true definition of resilience, honestly. So another variation, bring your arms outside, perpendicular to your body, lightly fisted. And now you're going to alternate so that your right hand turns up towards the ceiling and your left hand turns down towards the ground, your left thumb. And then as you turn your right arm and thumb up towards the ceiling, look at that hand and see if you can sense what your shoulder blades are doing as you very slowly roll your right thumb up, looking at it, and then look forward as you bring your hands back to a more neutral position. Your back arm is rolling down so that the thumb is going down towards the floor. And then see if you notice where your weight shifts, and can you bring your shoulder blade behind you on the right side closer to your spine as you do this. And when you do that, can you bring your left shoulder blade more forward so that you end up in a way that you're kind of rotating around the central axis of your spine. And then you'll notice that if you're soft in your whole body and you let the movement travel through your whole self, your pelvis moves as well. Hopefully you're sitting on something that's not so hard to move on, that you can feel one side of your pelvis going backwards as the other side goes forward, but your feet are stable on the floor and you're able to use ground forces to push through the floor to stabilize yourself. So give that a rest. And as you're resting with your hands on your knees or on your thighs, notice if you can completely let go of any tension in your arms. So this is a process of learning to notice where are you holding tension that you're not usually aware of. Are you holding tension in your jaw or your eyes or in the muscles around your eyes? Because worrying and clenching your teeth doesn't bring anything. As they say in German, it just doesn't bring anything. Half Swiss. All right. So just notice if you feel perhaps just in resting that maybe which shoulder is more forward. And you can tell sometimes by just looking straight ahead or closing your eyes and sensing yourself so that you're not using vision but your own proprioceptive system. To notice, do you feel like perhaps if you drew a line from your chin to your shoulder, is your right shoulder closer? What's the length of the line from your chin to your right shoulder? And in your imagination, what's the length of the line from your chin to your left shoulder? And if one is shorter than the other, then that shoulder is more forward. So if you're like most people, your body is starting to speak its mind. And if you're like most people, you're saying, stop that, and you're ignoring it. But here, we learn to listen. And here, chances are your body is saying, let's do the other side. I feel off. I feel crooked. So let's honor the body. Every lesson is a chance to learn to honor the wisdom of your own body, which is something we have shut out, shut off, tuned out, and that increases the trauma we experience on a daily basis. Okay, when you're ready, come to your sort of active position where you're upright over your sit bones and you can feel them on the chair. Arms out to the sides, lightly fisted, and now do the opposite. So you're going to be turning to your left and rotating your left arm and thumb towards the ceiling. Several times slowly. As you do so, your right arm and thumb are rotating down towards the ground, and in between each take, you just come and turn to the front. Turn to the left as you roll up on the left side, come to the front. Turn to the left as you roll down with your arm and thumb on the right side and come to the front. And just do this repeatedly at your own pace until you can start to think of your left shoulder blade and notice how you can use this movement to bring your left shoulder blade towards your spine, and think about your right shoulder and notice that if you continue to do this same movement slowly, you can bring your right shoulder forward so that your whole body is actually rotating around the central axis of your spine. And then let that go. You can kind of do this thing where you're freeing up the muscles of your shoulders by, not by trying to stretch them, but by trying to bounce so that your emphasis is on going up and then completely letting go. And then just let your arms hang. So now, for many of the people that come into my awareness through movement class the first time, they are not aware that they kind of hold their entire arms like sticks. So that is passive tension. And just as teenagers need to learn how to inhibit their they have too much spontaneity. They don't have enough inhibition, right? So as adults, the difference between adolescence and adulthood is that we've learned to inhibit certain things that are not in alignment with what our intention is. So in this context, can you inhibit any tension you may have been in the habit of holding in your arms, so that when you let your arms hang, you're kind of floppy? And that allows the weight of your arms to actually help lengthen your shoulders, so that your shoulders are not up by your ears. So I think I'm just going to call that good. I would encourage you to stand up slowly and take this level of awareness to go for a little walk around the room without reverting to sort of social interactions. Just hopefully you're by yourself and it's quiet. And you can just notice if this has had any effect on the way that you walk. Could you be soft with your arms and walking, such that your body is rotating around the central axis of your spine as you walk? Excuse me. And your arms are actually moving, swinging, and your shoulder blades are free. So if you want to hear the extended version of this lesson, please go to yourlifematters.solutions for more. And I look forward to working with you in the future. We'll come back next week with another mini lesson. And these are also applicable to trauma. I've incorporated awareness through movement lessons as a part of the trauma release method I've put together, which uses not only the nervous system and proprioception as a feedback loop, but uses writing as a feedback loop, and emotional clearing in a meditative state. So, until next time, have a great week. Love and blessings.